The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, Monday morning, 8:30 a.m., 60 minutes to go until that opening bell, and we get markets pushing to the downside in pretty dramatic fashion to kick things off right now. Dow futures off right at 2%, 552 points in the red, trading at 27,050. We might get a 26,000 handle before the open this morning. S&P futures off 55 points. That's a solid 1.7% in the red, trading at 3261. NASDAQ off about 1.5%, 160 points negative at 10,767. Oil pulling back about 86 cents right now. We got the 10-year yield, 0.654%. We'll jump over to the yield in a moment. As far as in Europe, big numbers, about 3% across the board. The DAX off 3.1%, FTSE off 3.2%, CAC Carol off 3.1%. Overnight in Asia, Nikkei positive by 0.2, Shanghai negative by 0.6. And we'll jump right into it. Here's a chart of the S&P. And as you can see, I was just looking at these charts this morning. We'll zoom it in. When you're talking about the run that we had just from June, we're now approaching a 61% retracement of all of that. You traded from under 3,000 to almost 3,600. You're talking about a 20% run in markets from June 29th. We trade up to 35.87 the high. We're backing off in the span of, that was September 3rd, folks. We're talking about basically 11 trading days. We've traded from 35.87 to 32.54 right now in those S&Ps. We'll jump over to the VIX this morning. Actually, let me put in a little 5-minute to see the action overnight. We'll take off this drawing. So you can see the escalation begin. Futures opened last night. Pretty calm action, actually. You were trading at about 33.20 as of 9:30 p.m. Eastern time last night, watching the Patriots game, a little football this weekend. Not the outcome the Patriots wanted. It came down to a last-second play. The Bucs, Tom Brady, they got it done. Nonetheless, last night I checked in on the futures. They said, things are pretty calm. We got to mark it up a few points, down a few points here or there. We're at 33.20. The slide begins. The slide really begins at about 3 a.m. Eastern time. You have Europe opening up from above 3,300. You trade down to 32.47. We've been bouncing around at that level basically since then overnight. Jumping over to the VIX overnight, as you may expect, reaching higher levels above 30 right now, reached a high of 30.64, currently trading at 30.29, jumping around to commodities, crude oil backing off a bit at 40.36. The gold contract falling as well from about 19.60, and that's again about 3 a.m. when Europe opens. You're trading at 19.28, and notes and bonds will jump over to a little bit of higher price and lower yield. The 10-year 139.21, the 30-year 177.02. You got the 10-year up about 8 ticks right now. Interesting, put this on a daily. Look at this line. I drew this line, I think, back in July, early July, somewhere in that picture. We're talking about 2.5 months later, and this 10-year just is not budging. Pretty remarkable, right? That at that point, I was highlighting the 139.22 area as it peaked out at that level, first peaked at that level really back in April 2nd. Back in April 21st, and that's, of course, this was the peak here as well, right? Within half a tick right now of that price point, 139.22, and we have that yield currently correlating to about 0.65%. That's where the market seems comfortable no matter what's happening in that note market. All right, jumping around to what else we have going on, what is moving the markets this morning. So one of the stories, you have the UK with cases spiking dramatically. So they are going to have a number of new restrictions put in place, including a 10 p.m. curfew, fines for failing to self-isolate. Government scientists warning that if the current trends in rising cases continued and no action taken, the country could expect to see almost 50,000 new cases by the middle of next month. That is quite a number for the UK, obviously not quite the size of the country the U.S. is. And there you see the spikes in terms of what's going to happen. The cases per day really accelerating since about, we're talking about, trying to get a date there. Yeah, August 29th we're talking about. So really the last 3 weeks or so spiking dramatically. They're trying to get a hold on that. That's part of the reason that you see overnight, whether it's Europe, the DAX off, the FTSE off, the CAC roll, all off about 3%. So all of that somewhat contributing to what's going on. In terms of politics, unfortunate passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg over the weekend. Sad day, taking politics out of it for sure. Second woman on the court. And at a time when things are so divisive already, adding to the divisiveness of the political debate over the next 40 or so days, the probability, bringing it back to the market, that we get some type of stimulus deal amid the political fight that's going to go on for the Supreme Court nominee from President Trump, that less likely in dramatic fashion. So you're seeing that hit the market as well today as markets pull back almost 2% in the U.S. Jumping back to the S&Ps, we got us down 1.94%. Things not stopping, folks. I mean, keep in mind, Europe's down 3%. No reason why we can't be down 3% in a heartbeat on the open. We're down about 2% on the S&Ps right now, 1.7 on the NASDAQ, and 2.3% on the Dow right now. All right, jumping around to one of the more tantalizing stories this morning. How about banks moving $2 trillion with a T, $2 trillion amid laundering orders? So this is an investigation by the internal consortium of investigative journalists, says J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank and several others, but J.P. and Deutsche, the biggest of the two. We'll jump to this chart. Check out this chart. This story is everywhere, folks, whether it's, Bloomberg, CNBC. I'm sure it's going to be covered in every news outlet in the financial arena, at least. Banks with most suspicious transactions in these leaked files contain details over $2 trillion of transactions, basically in the last 2 decades, from 1999 to 2017. Deutsche blowing it out of the water. J.P. Morgan not far behind at about $500 billion. Standard Chartered, Bank of New York Mellon, Barclays, and a couple others. HSBC rounding it out. But check out Deutsche, right? So jumping around, the DB, Deutsche Bank, there it is. And there you see, from 909 to about 839, you're down almost 10% on Deutsche Bank this morning. J.P. Morgan down from 99 to 93 at one point, down to 94.02. You're going to see, and hopefully you should, because we talk about it almost tongue-in-cheek on the program. I talk about it. My dad, Tom, he and I talk about it. He talks about it. Dave White, Basil Chapman, I'm sure everybody's talked about it because it's so well known that banks, it's the price of doing business, folks. What's going to happen? Now, Deutsche, they've been in some big trouble. But J.P. Morgan, they're one of the best banks on Wall Street. And you're talking about almost $500 billion of suspicious transactions. So that coming out, a new investigative report, kept profiting from powerful and dangerous players in the past 2 decades, even as the U.S. imposed penalties on the financial institutions. They had leaked documents obtained, shared with that consortium of journalists, said in some cases the banks kept moving money, illicit funds, after receiving warnings from U.S. officials. As you said, about $2 trillion over the last 2 decades. Top 2 banks, Deutsche Bank, $1.3 trillion of suspicious money. J.P. Morgan, $514 billion. Other lenders, as we said, rounded out. So yeah, wave of hefty fines in the past decade, spurred by an explosion in the number of transactions that lenders flag as suspect to the U.S. government. Still, be interesting to see what happens, folks. Big allegations. We don't even have enough time in this show to get into all of those. All right. Right now in the markets, folks, S&Ps basically at almost pre-market session lows, within about 6 points of that 32.47 low overnight. Stay tuned, folks. Come back in 3 minutes. See what else we have on tap for Monday trading. We'll be right back.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my gold report. The gold report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The gold report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the gold report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the gold report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. S&P's minus 64 points right now. You got the Dow off 637 as things accelerating a bit, folks. Man, we got about 48 minutes right now to the opening bell. We'll see if we pause. As I mentioned, Europe down 3% across the board. No reason why the S&Ps are only down 2% right now, considering the action you're seeing over there. Definitely possible over here as we accelerate on the open. Jumping around to other stories out there, the Nikola saga continues. Not what you want to see if you are a believer in what they've been saying, as you have the founder resigning as chair amid allegations and an SEC probe. Face of the company to leave effective immediately. Again, not what you would like to see if everything was on the up and up there. We have Nikola trading lower this morning. Really going to be interested to see what GM has to say in their own defense of investing to the tune of almost $2 billion of in-kind services. Nonetheless, a remarkable blunder on their part, and it's exposed within a week. I mean, even just around Wall Street, maybe nobody knew, but Hindenburg put out their short report within like 48 hours of GM investing that money. How are they not aware of some of the allegations going on there and what may happen? Nonetheless, Nikola shares, as you may expect, when you get a founder stepping down amid all that, you go from 34 to almost 21. You're sitting at 24.71. I mentioned last week, even at one point, when maybe it was Wednesday when the report started coming out that the independent law firm they had hired was that was Kodak I'm talking about. Yeah, let's check in on Kodak because they're a similar deal of. Yeah, look at this, from 12.11 to 10.53, folks. Be careful on these stocks when you're talking about the allegations of malfeasance in a pretty dramatic fashion going on. Okay, jumping around to what else we got going on. Stories shaping the action early today. Stocks making moves. So let's jump to Oracle and TikTok. So ByteDance says it will own 80% of TikTok, U.S. firm, contradicting the deal. In terms of Trump's claim, the deal has nothing to do with China. But nonetheless, you're going to talk about who owns what, getting into it. Oracle's going to take a 12.5% stake in the newly created TikTok Global, and Walmart is going to take a 7.5% stake. Pretty interesting that Walmart sneaks in there. So you have Oracle shares spiking higher on that news. A lot of speculation at the end of last week how this was all going to go down. Oracle pairing a lot of those gains, though, even from the pre-market. Now, you could say the S&Ps are down 2% as well. You still got Oracle up almost $1.50, true enough. And Walmart sneaking in with a 7.5% stake in social giant TikTok. And they are from 135.29 to 136.15 on the day that the market's getting pummeled. Even S&P's down 66 now, Dow down 660. Also on the front for Walmart, they are going to be introducing their own private label clothing lines. They got two stories out there this morning, hoping to take market share from bankrupt retailers like JCPenney and others, where sales have fallen, like Kohl's and Macy's. So Walmart, higher, pretty interesting when you compare it to a company like Target. You're trading from 148.82 down at least $1 to 147.50 on their shares this morning. We talked about the banks, and they're dealing with some woes in pretty dramatic fashion. Comcast NBC has reached a deal with Roku that will add the company's Peacock streaming service and keep other NBC content on the platform. That's a big deal, folks. Roku, they've been on fire recently. If you don't have your services available on Roku, you are in trouble. And Roku up a little bit this morning, 160, 384. Maybe that's restrictions being added in Europe type play, or maybe it's just this deal with NBC, CMCSA for Comcast. Pretty muted reaction from 45.26 to 44.85 this morning. All right, other stocks out there. The cruise companies, they're trading a little bit higher as their industry panel submitted a proposal for heightened health protocols to the Centers for Disease Control as it seeks to return to sailing. The proposals include testing of guests and crew members, use of masks, and enhanced sanitation procedures. People should have the right to go on these cruises if they want. If you put those proper things in place, there's no reason why we can't open up back up safely. The problem with the cruise ships I see is that you put yourself in jeopardy if one person does make it on there. You're all quarantined, you're stuck on there, and this thing spreads pretty rapidly even in those close quarters. So Carnival was higher, I thought. NCLH, they are lower with the market now, so they're still all lower this morning. Let's check in on the airlines, see how they're trading. Yeah, the market, you're down now 65 points in the S&P, jumping over the VIX, almost reaching the pre-market highs at 30.64. We're at 30.40 right now. Illumina, the maker of the gene sequencing technology, is going to buy privately held Grail, developer of a test for early detection of cancer, for $8 billion in cash in stock. Illumina founded Grail in 2016 and already owns a large stake. And the $8 billion includes consideration it will essentially pay itself as a Grail stakeholder. That's a nice deal if you're an owner of Illumina. Start the company, you buy it, you pay yourself. Down with the market, though, like everything else this morning, 286.02. All right, let's check on some of the FANG stocks. Amazon just blowing right past 3,000. You're now trading at about 2,900. For some context on Amazon, it's been a rocket ship, folks. Now, yeah, most of the market is coming right back to almost where we were, the June highs. Now, Amazon rocketed higher. But to check things out on the S&P in terms of what I have on the radar, right, we'll climb back. Basically all of it. Basically 3.5 months of acceleration to the upside. As I mentioned, you went from 20% higher almost, from 3,000 to 3,600, and almost a straight shot. Since then, September 3rd, you're talking about we've lost 340 S&P points. You're down about 10% right now in, 12 trading days, give or take, as the economy approaches, and we're dealing with about 40 days with a heightened politicized event like we needed that. Unfortunate that things are going to be so divisive, even more so now. And the deal, the potential of a stimulus deal, very, very difficult in this environment. And I think you're really seeing that hitting the market this morning, more so even than what's going on in Europe with the UK shutting down. With more restrictions as their cases spike. The politicized nature, as if it could get worse, just did over the weekend, and that decreases the probability of any type of a stimulus agreement at a time when there's not many agreements going on. And look at the S&Ps, 3250 right now. All right, jumping around to other stories out there. Beyond Meat, JP Morgan backing off them, but let's check out that chart. Beyond Meat, quite the arena in terms of, I believe they got a downgrade, BYND. On Friday, down with the market today. Putting this on your daily, you'll see the acceleration in terms of just recently we were trading at 120, made it all the way up to 160 right now. Pre-COVID, you're down to 48. You really want some context, though. You got to go back at least 3 years to 239.71. Folks, if you look at this as a roller coaster, okay, what's above this area? There's only one spike, and you could call that an irrational spike, in my opinion, okay? In terms of what is below this area, a lot is below this area. And this is such a competitive arena, right? Plant-based meat, there's going to be beyond, there's going to be impossible. Tyson, you want to talk about a long-term play that might be possible. I don't understand the fundamentals, but look at the 3-year weekly. Tyson is not going away, folks. They're dealing with a lot of woes right now. But when you compare the market cap of a company like Tyson to a company like Beyond Meat and the delivery and infrastructure and processes in place, I struggle to find that valuation on Beyond Meat. All right, stay tuned, folks. We come back after the break, see what else we have on tap for Monday. We'll be right back in 3 minutes. Stay tuned.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us, and Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. Excuse me. We get the S&P's negative by 60. We get the Dow off 600 points. NASDAQ off 170. Jumping back to Beyond Meat real quick and Tyson, because that comparison to pull it up right at these prices. You got Beyond Meat valued at a market cap of about $10 billion, folks. And you got Tyson valued at a market cap of only $23 billion in my estimation. Now, Beyond has a lot of growth. Tyson was an original investor, and they are going to be able to compete in that arena along with everything else they have going on in terms of Tyson, chicken, food, etc. And they only have a market cap of about $23 billion. Always important to keep those considerations as you're looking at those two companies. But with that said, Beyond Meat, the future, definitely greater growth. But, man, a lot of that priced in when you talk about a $10 billion valuation already for that company. All right, checking out some of the other stocks I'm usually keeping on my radar. I mean, a lot of stocks pulling back pretty harshly, folks. Putting this on a 15-minute. There you see Disney off almost $4 from $128.63 to $125 as the market sells off. Some of the ride-hailing companies have been performing pretty well recently, backing off a bit from $37.12 to $36 for Uber. Lyft really been struggling. $30.59 yet on Friday, $29.82 as of this morning. And jumping around to some of the booze and cannabis companies. Constellation, I like that company. They are very thinly traded overnight. The bid-ask enormous right now, 179 to 186, but lower as of Friday. And checking in on cannabis, Canopy down to 1591 this morning as the market down about 57 points right now. Checking in on the VIX. Above 30, you could still call it relatively low price considering that as the market was shooting straight up, folks, we never got below about an average of 21, maybe 22. We closed out Friday at 26. Meanwhile, to compare that to the S&P sell-off we've had just over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess. Yeah, 3 weeks. September 3rd, it's September 21st, and you're at 35.87 to 32.56, giving back a decent amount. And again, to pull it back, one of the levels we'll be looking at today, we're talking about a high of 32.31 back in June, that we might erase all of those gains over basically the last 3 to 4 months. Stay tuned, folks. Larry Pesavento, he's coming up live at 9 o'clock. We'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in.